Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Alright, and welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it's Wednesday, March 28th. This is how the show's going to go, okay? We got yesterday's NBA games going up first in the first segment. Second segment, we're going to be talking about Markelle Fultz. He's back. Alright. Played well with the Sixers in his first game. We'll talk about that game, and they've got a game going on tonight. So pretty much just talk about the Sixers and what it means for Fultz to be back playing for them. And pretty much everything else that ties into it. And then for the third segment, we'll be talking about the teams that are currently tanking. Going to talk about which teams, pretty much like the basis of that segment is just going to be me talking about those teams and what their chances are of winning games in the near future. Like actually just being competitive. Kind of like how the Lakers have been this season, all right? Obviously the Lakers aren't a playoff team yet, but we know they're on their way to the next step, which is making playoffs. All right, right now these tanking teams are trying to take that next step to where the Lakers are right now. All right, so we'll be talking about those teams, talk about how close they are to all that. And then for the fourth segment, we'll talk about whatever else is going on in the world of basketball and making my picks for tonight's games. So that's how the show is going to go. It's going to be a fun one, so let's get into it. First up, we had the San Antonio Spurs facing off with the Washington Wizards, and the Wizards win this one, 116-106. For the Spurs, you had LaMarcus Aldridge with 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 6 from the field. Kyle Anderson had 7 points, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 4 from the field. Patty Mills, 11 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Dejounte Murray had 6 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and then off the bench you had Rudy Gay with 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 3 of 8 from the field. Pau Gasol had 10.6 rebounds, shot 4 of 10, and then you had Brian Forbes with 12 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 7, 1 of 1 from the three-point line. For the Washington Wizards, you had Markelle Fultz with 15 points, 2 rebounds, shot 7 of 7, hit a 3 in this one also. Otto Porter had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 6 of 7, 2 of 2 from the three-point line. Bradley Beal, 7 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 8, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Tomas Satoransky had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 3 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Kelly Oubre Jr. with 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 4 of 9 from the field, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. And then you had Ramon Sessions with 12 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 6. And then Jody Meeks, 13 points, shot 5 of 11, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. All right, Ramon Sessions and Jody Meeks have been in the league for quite some time, I feel. All right, and actually, I'm going to double check that right now. We're going to double check how long these guys have been in the league for, because of the fact that, like, I remember Jody Meeks when he was playing on the championship Lakers teams in the little 2009, 2010 run right there. And then Ramon Sessions has been around for a long time, I feel. Let's see how long Ramon Sessions has been around. Ramon Sessions, I don't know, like, has he ever been a guy that's really, has he ever been on championship teams, I think? I'm not even too entirely sure. Played with a bunch of teams. Let's see. He's gone from the Bucks, played with the Cavs, he's played with the Raptors, the Lakers, Charlotte, and the Bobcats, I believe, Sacramento, Washington, New York, and he's back at Washington now. All right. He's been around for quite some time. He's been around since 2007. Jody Meeks, how long has he been around? He's probably around the same time as Ramon Sessions, I have to feel. At least. Let's see how long Jody Meeks has been around. Jody Meeks, he's barely even 30 years old. Feels like he's been around for a long time. All right, so yeah, let me see. He came in 2009. Sessions came in 2007. So Sessions has been around for a couple more seasons. All right, Meeks has played with the Raptors. He's played with the Bucks, the Sixers, the Lakers, Detroit, Orlando, and Washington. So he's been around for quite some time too. All right, but either way, like I said, these guys have been around for a while. I don't even know if you could say for a while. I don't know. They're kind of weird. It's like these are players that are they'll play. Jody Meeks will play about he's been in the league for what? Since 09, so 09 to now is about 8 seasons, however many. Let me see, one. He played for 3 different teams in his rookie year. Played for Milwaukee, and then he played for, unless I'm mistaken by what this thing is telling me, but it seems like it. So he's played since 09. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so this is his 9th season right here. All right, he's probably going to play, honestly, about 4 or 5 more seasons. Okay, because Jordy Meeks and Ramon Sessions are those guys where they do a certain job and they're good for the locker room. So let's see, Sessions obviously played 2 more years than Meeks. He's been around for 11 years. So I don't know, it's just one thing I kind of found interesting to talk about. All right, for the next game, though, we had the Denver Nuggets facing off with the Toronto Raptors, and Toronto won this one 114-110. For Denver, you had Paul Millsap with 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 12 from the field, 101 from the three-point line. Wilson Chandler had 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 3-7 from the field. Will Barton didn't shoot the ball well in this one. Only 15 from the field, 2 of 7 from the three-point line, 10 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Nikola Jokic had 29 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 11 of 21, 3-7 from the three-point line. Jamal Murray had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 6 of 18, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. Trey Lyles had 13 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 of 6, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. And then for the Raptors, you had Serge Ibaka with 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 11, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Jonas Valanciunas had 15 points, 7 rebounds. Kyle Lowry shot 4 of 10 from the field in this one, 3 of 6 from the three-point line, had 11 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan had 15 points, 8 assists, shot 7 of 12 in this one. And then off the bench, you had Fred VanVleet with 15 points, 4 assists, shot 5 of 7, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, all right? So with the Raptors, I mean, obviously it's encouraging to see that they're still the number 1 seed and all that. I think they're still 3.5 games up on Boston for that 1 seed. But, I mean, it's just a matter of Kyle Lowry. I think, let me check Kyle Lowry's stats real quick because of the fact that I just feel like this season, Kyle Lowry just hasn't been the point guard we've come to know in this league, all right? And with Lowry, I mean, it's just a matter of you need him at his best if the Raptors want to do absolutely anything this season, all right? So like me say, I think he's averaging like 14.5 points right now. Yeah, let me double check it. All right. Let's see. So last season he averaged 22 points. Yeah, he averaged 22 points. Averaged 21 the year before that. And 17, or nearly 20 the couple years before that. All right. So I guess from 2013 to now has kind of been his peak in his career. And this season, he's down 6 points from what he was at last year. See, he's down 6 points there. Let me see his assist numbers. He's down 0.2 assists. So it's not really much of a change there. And then his rebounds numbers, he's actually up. So I guess he's the same assist numbers. His points are low and his rebounds are up. So it's just a matter of you need him to probably score a little bit more. And it's just, I'm looking at him right now. It's just kind of weird to see that the fact that Kyle Lowry played with the Memphis Grizzlies and played with the Houston Rockets too. Oh. Kyle Lowry with the Rockets was pretty good. He was all right, I guess you could say. I mean, didn't really play too many games. He's never really been a guy that's played like the entire season. I think he's only done that once, and that was his 2007-2008 season with Memphis, second year after his rookie year. And he only started 9 of those games. So, I don't know, Kyle Lowry, kind of hope that he'd step up a little bit more for the Raptors, because if he doesn't, then, I mean, it's going to be a little bit tough for them to get it going for the playoffs. All right, but anyway, like I said, the Raptors won that one 114-110. For the next game, we had the Cleveland Cavaliers facing off with the Miami Heat, and Miami won this one 98-79. For the Cavs, you had what's his name? Jeff Green. I don't know why I got it all mixed up. We had Jeff Green with 5 points, 4 rebounds, shot 2 of 10, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. LeBron James had 18 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 7 of 18 there. Kevin Love only played 7 minutes in this one, only had 1 point, shot 0 of 2 from the field. Jose Calderon had 11 points. George Hill, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 2 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. Larry Nance played 18 minutes in this one, only had 4 points, 10 rebounds. Tristan Thompson had 6 points, 13 rebounds off the bench. Jordan Clarkson didn't shoot the ball well in this one, 5 of 13 from the field, 1 of 3 from the three-point line, 11 points. And then you had Rodney Hood with 15 points, 3 rebounds, shot 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. For the Heat, you had James Johnson with 15 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 7 of 11. Josh Richardson had 15 points, 7 rebounds. Goran Dragic had 10 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 8. Off the bench, you had Kelly Olynyk with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 7 of 9. And you had Dwayne Wade with 12 points, 4 assists, shot 5 of 11 there. With the Cavs, they play absolutely no defense, and they struggle against teams who do play defense, all right? Because with the Cavs, they'll give up 110 against the bad defensive teams, and they'll score 120, 115. All right. But when you're playing teams like Miami, you're playing teams like Boston. All right. That formula is not going to work out. And if you're not playing defense against them, they're going to make you pay because those teams are the best defensive teams. They're the best defensive teams in the league. All right. Playing extremely well. Boston's number 1. I think Miami's got to be at least top 10, I feel. All right. So with the Cavs, it's a matter of they got to put more effort on defense. If not, they're going to struggle big time in the playoffs. They're only a half game up on Philly and Indiana. I think they're only a game up on Washington for that 3 seed right there. Washington's currently in 6, so Cleveland's got to figure it out. They just really haven't looked good, and I feel like everyone's just gotten used to the fact that LeBron gets his team to the finals every year, and I think just this year it might be different. But either way, the Heat won that one 98-79. Then we had the Houston Rockets facing off with the Chicago Bulls. No James Harden this one, no Clint Capella, but no problem. The Rockets won this one 118-86. For the Bulls, you had Lauri Markkanen with 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 8 of 15 from the field, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Cameron Artis-Payne had 2 points, 8 rebounds, shot 1 of 7, 0 of 5 from the three-point line. Justin Holiday struggled in this one, 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 6 from the three-point line, 5 points, and then off the bench you had Bobby Portis with 11 points, 8 rebounds, shot 5 of 10. Let's see, Denzel Valentine, he had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 12 from the field, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. You had Sean Kilpatrick off the bench, 12 points, shot 5 of 9, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. For the Rockets, you had Trevor Ariza with 21 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 12, 4 of 10 from the three-point line. PJ Tucker had 9 points, 8 rebounds, shot 4 of 9. Chris Paul, 13 points, 10 rebounds, or 10 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 4 of 12, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. Eric Gordon got to start for James Harden. This one had 31 points, shot 11 of 17, 8 of 13 from the three-point line, and then off the bench you had Ryan Anderson with only 3 points in this one, shot 1 of 6. Gerald Green had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 4 of 14. James Johnson had 10 points, 5 assists, and you had RJ Hunter who got nice little amount of minutes, I guess, off the bench for a player who hasn't really done much so far in the NBA. He had 10 minutes in this one, didn't score though. Had 0 points, 0-2 from the three-point line, 2 fouls, so obviously not great there. But I guess the guy like great RJ Hunter, you just hope he gets a lot minutes, and pretty much just takes advantage of them there. But either way, Rockets knocked off the Bulls. Not really much to say here. I mean, business as usual for both teams. Rockets win, Bulls lose. So we'll move on. For the next game, we had the Portland Trail Blazers facing off with the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Trail Blazers won this one 107-103. For Portland, you had Al-Farouq Aminu with 10 points, 10 rebounds, shot 3 of 13 from the field, 2 of 10 from the three-point line. Evan Turner got the start on this one, 14 points, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 10, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Joseph Nurkic had 21 points, 10 rebounds, shot 10 of 14. Damian Lillard, 41 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. CJ McCollum had 7 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Didn't shoot the ball well in this one at all. 3 of 19 from the field, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. For the Pelicans, you had Anthony Davis with 36 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 15 of 24 from the field. Etuan Moore had 11 points, 7 assists. Emeka Okafor played 15 minutes in this one, 6 points, 9 rebounds. Drew Holiday with the triple-double in this one, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, shot 9 of 17 from the field. And you had Ian Clark who got the start in this one since Rondo was out. He had 8 points, shot 4 of 11 in this one. All right, kind of weird to see now that when players get triple-doubles, it's not a story anymore. I remember when Rondo was putting up triple-doubles and it was a big thing. All right, and then you got Russell Westbrook who last year put up a triple-double, average a triple-double all season. And just now it's kind of like, oh, you got a triple-double? Well, that's just not news anymore. All right, now it's this guy you got to I guess when someone gets a quadruple-double, I guess with blocks, assists, rebounds, and points, that'll be news. But now it kind of becomes desensitized to the triple-double. It's not really a big thing anymore. But that's all I got to say about that. Portland won this one 107-103. I believe the Pelicans are currently a game back of the Thunder for the 4 seed, and the Trailblazers, I believe, are 2.5 games up on the Thunder for the 3 seed. So both teams sit pretty well. You know, if the Pelicans, you want to make that 4 seed, just so you have home court in the first round at least. As for the next game, we have the Dallas Mavericks facing off with the Sacramento Kings, and Dallas won this one 103-97. For the Mavericks, you had Harrison Barnes with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 6 of 12 from the field, 3 of 7 from the three-point line. Dirk Nowitzki had 5 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 2 of 9 in that one, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Just sad to see from Dirk. Dennis Smith Jr. had 19 points, 6 assists, shot 6 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Aaron Harrison, I believe it is, 10 points, 5 rebounds, shot 3 of 8, 2 of 7 from the three-point line in 25 minutes. And then off the bench, you had Doug McDermott with 15 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 7, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. All right, Nerlens Noel did not play in this one due to coach's decision. That guy really screwed himself out of a lot of money, let me tell you. All right, I think he only signed a 1-year deal with the Mavericks. I don't know. Whoever his agent is got to be the worst agent in sports. Let's put it that way, all right? But as for the Kings, you had Scalabissier with 19 points, 8 rebounds, shot 8 of 15 from the field. Justin Jackson had 10 points, 8 rebounds, shot 4 of 11. Willie Cauley-Stein, 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 5. De'Aaron Fox had 5 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 2 of 10, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. Bogdanovich had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 7. And then off the bench, you had Kosta Koufos with 15 points, 7 rebounds, shot 7 of 10. Frank Mason shot the ball very poorly in this one, only hit 1 out of his 13 shots, had 8 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And then you got Buddy Hield with 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 6 of 15, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. Once again, the Mavericks won this one 103-97. All right. For the next game, we had the Indiana Pacers facing off with the Golden State Warriors, and Indiana won this one 92-81. Thaddeus Young had 17 points, 10 rebounds, shot 8 of 17. Bojan Bogdanovic had 17 points. Miles Turner had 5 points, 3 rebounds, shot 2 of 7. Then you had Darren Collison with 3 points, 4 assists, shot 1 of 7 there. Victor Oladipo, he had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 9 of 12, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And then for the Warriors, no KD, no Steph, no Clay, no Draymond. All right. Zaza Pachulia had 4 points, 2 rebounds, shot 2 of 4. Jordan Bell only 4 points, 7 rebounds in this one. Quinn Cook couldn't shoot the ball well in this one. 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 6 from the three-point line, 11 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. And then you had Nick Young with 12 points, and then Patrick McCaw had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Once again, the Pacers won this one 92-81. And then for the final game of the night, we had the LA Clippers facing off with the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Clippers won this one 105-98. For the Bucks, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 10 of 16 from the field. Chris Middleton had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 7 of 17 there. John Henson had 8 points, 8 rebounds. Eric Bledsoe had 14 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 6 of 10, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. Jason Terry got the start in this one, 10 points, shot 4 of 7. And then for the Clippers, you had Tobias Harris with 19 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 8 of 17 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. DeAndre Jordan had 12 points, 16 rebounds. Austin Rivers, 13 points in this one. And then off the bench, you had Montrezl Harrell with only 6 points, 3 rebounds in 15 minutes. And then Lou Williams played 37 minutes in this one, didn't shoot the ball relatively well. 5 of 16 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. I think the Clippers are only a game and a half back of the Timberwolves, so that eighth spot. So they're making a charge for it. But either way, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about Markelle Fultz coming back to the Sixers, what that means for him and what that means for the team. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. In that first segment, we spent recapping all the NBA games from last night. We had the Raptors knocking off the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat knocking off the Cleveland Cavaliers. Took care of them pretty easily in that one, if I say so. So we talked about those games. For this segment, we're going to be talking about Markelle Fultz and the 76ers. So let's get into it, all right? Obviously, Markelle Fultz, that whole situation was entirely weird. Definitely the weirdest sports story of the season so far in the NBA. Probably even the weirdest sports story, I guess you could say, in all of sports. All right. Markelle Fultz really just, I don't know. The dude forgot how to shoot, had a shoulder injury. Not sure how real the shoulder injury was, and I just think it was a matter of the guy just, I don't even know. All right. That's the thing. That's what makes it weird. We have no clue what exactly happened. All right. So there's that. Not really, was never really sure if he was going to come back this season. Me personally, before he did come back against Denver, I think it was on Monday, I was saying, don't even bring him back. All right, save him for next season, because if you bring him back for the playoffs and this whole thing was a mental issue, then he's going to be just as nervous or whatever, because it's playoff time, and it's going to be, you pretty much want to see your team do well. But nonetheless, he came back on Monday, all right? I was very shocked. Did not see it coming. Didn't even think about it. Thought he'd be done for the rest of the season. But nonetheless, yep, he played, all right? He played 14 minutes in the game. All right, he shot 5 of 13. Started off kind of slow, was 1 of 4 from the field, then eventually just finished 4 of 9 after that. All right, didn't hit any threes in this one or anything like that. No free throws. Had 4 rebounds, 8 assists, no steals. Had only 1 turnover, was a plus 16 in 14 minutes, and had 10 points. So he went 10, 8, and 4, plus 16 in 14 minutes. Played pretty well. All right, and I was surprised. I not surprised because of the fact that he played well. Surprised because he, I guess you could say, yeah, played well in his first game. So yeah, I was, I guess, surprised that he played well. All right, and surprised that he played so much. I figured that he'd only get maybe around, I guess, around 6-7 minutes in the game. But no, he was out there quite a bit. Or not quite a bit, but it's like he was out there from, I think, some of the first quarter. He played a lot of the third quarter. When he came in the third quarter, the game was still pretty close. But once he was done out there, I mean, the game was up. They were up by double digits, so he did have a big effect on the game, at least in the third quarter. Was one of the reasons why they went on the big run and pulled away from the Nuggets. All right, so with the whole Markelle Fultz thing, obviously he's back. The Sixers got a game against the Knicks tonight, so I'm sure he's going to get a lot more playing time in that one because of the fact that the Knicks are just hot garbage, and I'm sure Philly's going to be up by a lot, so it's going to give Fultz a lot of time to be out there. But it's just with Philly, I guess this is probably the best thing that could have happened to them this season. All right, not only Fultz coming back, but Fultz coming back and playing well in his first game. And you're kind of curious to see like how Philly would react to him being back, coming onto the floor, and like really on his first time on the floor when he comes off the bench. They gave him a standing ovation, so that was pretty cool to see there. But like I said, with Markelle Fultz, I mean, obviously glad to see that he's back and all that. And this is, like I said, one of the biggest things for Philly this season. Forget making the playoffs. It's Fultz is back, your number 1 pick. The guy you weren't even sure if he was going to be ready to go for this season. All right, played only 4 games, forgot how to shoot. Since then, hasn't been out there till Monday. All right, comes back Monday, plays well. And I'm kind of curious to see how Fultz really, like, again, it's playoff time. We got less than 10 games going on, all right? It's just curious to see how he's going to be implemented into this team. Is he going to continue to play just 15 minutes a game? Is he going to get extended time? Is he going to get inserted into the starting lineup? All right, as far as him getting inserted into the starting lineup, I just don't see that happening. It seems like Philly has found their little thing with Ben Simmons running the point guard position, JJ Redick at the 2 spot. Then you got Covington at the 3 spot, Sarge at the 4, and then Embiid at the 5. All right, if they did want to bring in Fultz to start with this on the starting 5, you'd have Fultz at the 1, Redick at the 2, Covington at the 3, Simmons at the 4, and then Embiid at the 5. All right, and I think that'd be a nice little starting lineup with Sarge coming off the bench, and that'd be a plus for the 76ers bench right there, because you got Bellinelli who could play the 3, you got McConnell who plays point guard. All right, and then who else do they really got on that bench right there? All right, you got I don't know. Let's see. You got Bellinelli who plays the 2. All right, you'd have McConnell playing the 1, Sarge playing the 4. You could have Ilyasova and Amir Johnson out there also, and obviously you're not gonna have all 5 of them out there at the same time, unless it's like towards the end of the second quarter or anything like that. But I do think that Fultz is just going to keep continuing coming off the bench, and I think that's what you got to do for the rest of the season. Obviously, next year, when Fultz obviously is ready to go from the jump, maybe you could have him starting, and I think you have to start him if you're Philly next year at least. All right, because of the fact that you did spend a first-round pick on him. I understand that he went through everything and all that. I'm not even sure like what it was exactly, but it was like more so like I said, I'm not clue. Weird sports stories, a shoulder injury. Was it he just forgot how to shoot? Who knows? But either way, they're gonna have to start him. All right, he's gonna have to come into the starting lineup, and I think that's gonna be next season rather than this season in the playoffs. And even then, now obviously Fultz is back. This does help Philly. All right, but now it's just a matter of, I guess what I'm trying to get at is how productive is he going to be for this team? Like the biggest thing I'm curious about with Fultz is how productive is he going to be? All right, is he just going to be is he going to be putting up stats like how he did in his first game? Is he going to score more? Is he going to start taking more threes? Is he going to take any threes? Is he going to be hitting mid range? Is he not? Like what's the plan for Fultz's game? All right, I mean, as far as playoffs, how many minutes are you going to give him? You're probably going to be playing a team like Indiana or Washington. Do you trust him enough to be out there and play well? Just because he's come back so late in the season. And like with Fultz, like it's not just him coming back and playing. It's a matter of the team getting used to him being out there, all right? Because they've been playing a certain way. And honestly, I'm not really too sure if Fultz changes anything about it. But it's just a matter of you got to get acclimated with each other. Obviously, Fultz has been on the team all year, but it's not like he was practicing with them and all that. They were holding him out. He was taking shots and all that, but nonetheless, he's back. All right. And with Philly, I guess, as a whole, this is just a plus. Okay, because of the fact that you're getting an extra player back, and you're getting a guy who could possibly be someone who can help you during the playoffs. And as far as Philly's goal for the playoffs, I mean, what is it? Is it to get out the first round? What's the most realistic? Like, what can we call success for Philly in the playoffs? All right. I mean, as far as the season goes, I guess you could say this is already a successful season. Last year wasn't even going to slip the playoffs. This year, now they're making the playoffs into the 4th seed. All right. So I guess you could consider this season already successful, but now it's just a matter of what is successful as far as playoffs. All right. Is getting out the first round? Is getting out the first round good enough to call it a success? Are you just happy you made the playoffs, so maybe getting a couple games in the first round series? Do you want to make it out the second round in the Eastern Conference Finals? And obviously they do, but I'm just trying to figure out what we measure success as far as Philly in the playoffs. All right. I think their team, they do have a chance, believe it or not, at making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I thought that before Fultz, okay? With Philly, it's just a matter of the right matchups. First round, you get Indiana and you get past them, perfect. Okay, then you get Toronto most likely in the second round. That's going to be tough. If you're Philly, you probably want to see a Cavs team or a Boston team in the second round. All right, because with Boston, you're not sure if Kyrie Irving's going to be back in time for the second round. You're not sure if Marcus Smart's going to be back, and Daniel Tice is out for the rest of the season. Plus, you got a whole bunch of other injuries with the Celtics they've been dealing with, like Marcus Morris. With the Cavs, if you're the Sixers, all you got to do is play solid defense, and I think the Sixers do have a top 5 defense in the league as far as the stats go and show. All right, so that works there. So if I'm the Sixers, you want to figure out a way to, I guess, and it'd be tough playing the Cavs in the second round. It'd be more so playing Boston, because if Philly comes up as the 3rd seed, then it's going to be the Cavs in the 4th seed. So I guess that's kind of out of the picture there, unless somehow the Cavs were to fall all the way down to 7 and knock off the Celtics in the first round, which I highly doubt would ever happen, meaning I highly doubt the Cavs would fall down to number 7. All right, so the only time the Sixers would see the Cavs is in the Eastern Conference Finals, and even then so, all right, it'd be tough, but Philly would have a chance at knocking off the Cavs. All right, let's not be irrational here. They would. All right, and I guess I'd be the irrational one, because I'm saying that Philly has a chance to knock off a LeBron-led team, but it's the truth. All right, and it all comes down to, I don't want to say it comes down to Markelle Fultz, but if they do want to have a chance at making it to Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the Finals, then you need Fultz to step up big time. All right, not go out, average 20 a game or anything like that, but you need him to probably average around 10 to 15, maybe more so 12 to 15. All right, put up some assist numbers and pretty much be a guy that you can rely on to play well game in and game out, and not really someone where it's like, oh, we got to kind of ease him into it, got to hold his hand through it and all that. And even then, so I'm kind of curious to see how Fultz deals with being back, because of the fact that there are trash talkers in the NBA. Okay, there will be people telling Fultz during the game, pretty much bringing up how he forgot how to shoot and all that. They're going to be trash talking Fultz, and I'm curious to see with, like, obviously Fultz, this whole thing being like he's got the yips or whatever, if that trash talk is going to phase him, or if he's just pretty much out there to just play basketball. Because with Fultz, it's kind of weird. Like with his body language and stuff like that, it's kind of like he's unhappy all the time. All right, and I know I'm playing kind of therapist and stuff right now, but it does look like Fultz's body language just isn't there or anything like that. So with him, it's just a matter of, I don't know, you just got to see, is the trash talk going to phase him? Does he really want to be out there? And how well is he going to play? If he does play well, then Philly's got all the chance in the world to make some noise in the playoffs. And this is very interesting to see how it's going to end up. But either way, I mean, this is a big plus for Philly. Like I said, they got the Knicks tonight. I'm going to be watching that game for sure. Very curious to see how Fultz ends up playing. He's going to be getting more minutes, I feel, just because of the fact that I feel that Philly's going to be blowing out the Knicks. going to be blowing out the Knicks by the third quarter, so we'll see about it. But that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to talk about the teams that are currently tanking. Going to be talking about the Kings, the Hawks, the Grizzlies, all those teams. Going to talk about which team is close to winning, kind of like being competitive like the Lakers this year. So it'll be the bar right there. And we'll be doing that for the third segment. And then for the fourth segment, we'll be talking about pretty much anything else going on in the world of sports, or world of basketball, I should say. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about yesterday's NBA games. Like I said, we had the Heat knocking off the Cavs, and the Cavs are going to be a team that struggles if they don't figure out how to play defense, all right? I understand they got LeBron, but we can't keep using that as an excuse as to why they're going to make it to the conference finals and all that. But either way, we talked about that. We talked about Markelle Fultz coming back. That's big for Philly right there, especially if he comes back and starts playing well. Monday he played all right. I guess you could say he played actually pretty well for his first game back since, October. Had 10 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, was a plus 16 in 14 minutes played. So it's a big little uppity-up plus right there for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays in the playoffs and how he really gets integrated into this Philly lineup. All right. So we talked about that for the second segment. And then for this one, we're going to talk about the teams who are currently tanking. All right. And, I mean, we're not going to really be talking about teams like Charlotte or even the Lakers. All right, Charlotte is a team who you could say they're not tanking because of the fact that you guys like Kemba Walker out there, Dwight Howard. It's just a matter of the Hornets just aren't a very good team. That's all it is. All right, it has nothing to do with tanking or anything like that. That shouldn't be an excuse that's used. They're just a bad team. They're not tanking. All right, if you're a Hornets fan and you're under the impression, no, we're just tanking, you're not. Their team just stinks. Okay, so there's that. And then with the Lakers, this is what these tanking teams kind of want to be the next season. All right, you want to be that team that's competitive and wins games. Obviously, Lakers aren't making the playoffs or anything like that, but the next step for the Lakers is to make the playoffs, and I think they can next season. You got guys like Brandon Ingram, all right, Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball, and Kyle Kuzma played well this season, kind of elevated that team. So that's kind of the measuring stick for these teams that are tanking. That's where you want to be right there. So let's get into it right now. We're going to talk about a bunch of teams from the East and a bunch of teams from the West. So let's get into it. Like I said, all right, for Atlanta, currently 21-53, got the worst record in the East and the third worst record in the league. And it's just with them. You got John Collins, you got Dennis Schroeder, okay, and that's pretty much it right there. Dwayne Dedmon could be a center, like a nice little center for that team going forward, but it's just everyone else. If I had to say over under 3 years for everyone on that team being gone besides Schroeder and Collins, I'd say it's an under. There's no way any of those guys are going to be on that team past 3 years. All right, there's just no point for them. They're just placeholders, pretty much just trying to get the tank going. All right, and with the Hawks, I mean, let's not forget that just last year they were a playoff team, I believe. Okay, I think. Weren't they a playoff team last year, or was it the year before? Was the last year they made playoffs? I can't remember exactly, but either way, they were a solid team. All right, for the last decade or so, they were a solid team. Making the playoffs year in and year out. Weren't really making too much noise. There was that one year they finished as the 1 seed, but I think they got swept by the Cavs. What was it, in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it was? All right, I think it was 2015? I can't remember exactly, but either way, yeah, the Hawks used to be a very good team. Now they're on the downfall. All right, they are pretty much completely separated from the Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Paul Millsap, years, all right? Joe Johnson, that's all done with. Now you're in the dark ages of the Atlanta Hawks, all right? Maybe they should have been a tanking team a couple years earlier because of the fact that now, I mean, the Hawks, they're going to have a top 3 pick most likely, but now it's just a matter of where and how long is it going to take for them to get back to where they used to be. All right, as far as them being like a team like the Lakers this season, I don't see it really happening within the next few years. You got John Collins, you got Schroeder, but you still got a whole bunch of other holes you got to fix. All right, you need 3 new starters, okay, and you need to fix up a bench, and that's going to take a while. So for the Hawks, I mean, they're still years away from being a team who can go out and at least be competitive and have a chance possibly to even think about making the playoffs. All right, then you got the Orlando Magic, who are currently 22-51. 4th worst record in the league, 2nd worst record in the East. And with the Magic, they've completely botched this whole thing since Dwight Howard left, okay? Have not gotten better at all. Have pretty much stayed the same. Continue to draft low. Continue to waste picks, all right? You got Aaron Gordon, who is going to be a restricted free agent this season, and he could very well be on his way out of Orlando if someone gives him a huge deal and Orlando just simply doesn't want to pay all that money. And Orlando has never really been a team who's going to give you a bunch of money. They've always been a relatively cheap franchise. Didn't want to pay Shaq. That's one of the biggest reasons why he left, I feel. All right? And with Orlando, it's like you got Jonathan Isaac, who you drafted this year. Has been kind of off and on. I think he's been hurt for a lot of the season. You got Evan Fournier. You traded away Elfrid Payton. I mean, what are you doing if you lose Gordon? Okay? What is the plan? You signed a guy like Bismack Biyombo, I feel, to help elevate the team, but that just simply hasn't come into fruition. Either way, you get what I'm saying. All right, and same as the Hawks, same thing as the Hawks. I mean, the Magic aren't going to be very good for a few years. All right, they're not like a team who has done well in drafting and are kind of like a piece or two away. All right, they're pieces away. Okay. So with the Magic, it's just been kind of frustrating to see because of the fact, like I said, since Dwight Howard left, it's kind of like the Suns, all right? With the Suns, since Steve Nash left, Mari Stoudemire, all those guys, the Suns have not been a good team at all. Since Dwight left, the Magic have not been a good team at all. So it's just a matter of now, you finally got to get it together. They might need to fix up the front office, maybe fix up the coaching staff, because with Frank Vogel, I just think that it just hasn't, I don't know. With Frank, I think Frank Vogel's a good coach. I guess we got to wait and see. But as far as the Magic go, they still got years to go before they are even a competitive team. Then we got the Chicago Bulls, all right? Started off the season kind of good, all right? Wasn't really doing the whole tanking thing, was winning more games than they should, and I think it's kind of come back to bite them in the rear end because of the fact that they're 24-50 right now. That's good enough for the, the 6th best record in the league, I believe, or 6th worst record in the league, I believe. They're a half game up on they are the 7th best record. They're behind the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento's 24-51. Chicago is 24-50. So they're a half game back of the Kings for the 6th worst record. All right. With the Bulls, they'll probably be picking 8 or 9. And with them, I think they're pretty close to being competitive, I guess you could say. They're a real good, solid draft pick away from it. Maybe a couple, at least. All right. But like I said, they're going to be picking 8 or 9. There's a possibility that Trae Young or Colin Sexton are there for you to pick. I understand you got Zach LaVine. I understand you got Chris Dunn. But I feel like you can move LaVine to the 2 where he's played before, and you could trade Chris Dunn. All right. Colin Sexton, I think, is going to be like De'Aaron Fox, except he's got a tiny bit better jumper, and even then, so he still needs to work on it. Or you could end up with a guy like Trae Young, where I think that'd be a nice little fit there, because you got Lauri Markkanen, who could shoot the 3. You got him to play down low. Zach LaVine has a nice little shot. Okay, you got Denzel Valentine, who's a pretty solid role player off the bench. Bobby Portis, who's been their 6th man. All right, and you do need to fix up the center position and the 3 spot. But if you bring in a guy like Trae Young, that is going to make you better. I think Trae Young is kind of like Alonzo Ball, where he can make players around him better. You really didn't see that too much with Oklahoma for Trae Young, making people better. But I think it's more so because of the fact that Oklahoma just didn't have really good players around him. So with the Bulls, I feel you get a guy like Colin Sexton or Trae Young, you're going to be a pretty decent team. But as far as them being kind of like the Lakers this year, kind of being competitive, winning games against the top teams, I think they got like a couple this year and then next year, I think, for the drafts until they're that kind of team. And then you got the New York Knicks. All right. Same thing with the Bulls. Knicks are going to be picking 8 or 9, possibly 10 if it just doesn't work out. But the Knicks need to go after Trae Young. That's the player you need. You need a solid point guard. I don't care that you drafted Frank Ntilikina this year. I don't care that you have Emmanuel Mudiay. Trade one of them, draft Trae Young, all right, and hope Porzingis comes back and plays well when he gets back. And you got Michael Beasley, who I think you got to keep Michael Beasley. That's a solid piece, whether it be off the bench or starting with a guy like Porzingis. You got to bring in Beasley because of the fact that he's been so good. All right, but with the Knicks, I mean, they're the same team as the Bulls right now. They're a couple years from competing. Still got a bunch of holes they got to fix up. But, I mean, you already got your cornerstone in Kristaps Porzingis. Now you just need that player in a draft where I think is pretty deep, at least as far as the top 10, where you can go out and get a guy who contributes from the get. So we'll see about it. But either with the Knicks, they're still a couple years away from competing. All right, then heading over to the West, you got Phoenix, who has the worst record in the league. And with Phoenix, I think they're a DeAndre Ayton away from being the Lakers of this year or next year. All right, because if you get DeAndre Ayton with the first pick, you could have your starting five consist of Elfrid Payton, Devin Booker, TJ Warren, Josh Jackson, and DeAndre Ayton. And to me, that sounds like a pretty formidable starting five. All right, Josh Jackson has kind of picked up his play. Started off the season kind of slow, but now, like I said, has been playing better. Elfrid Payton seemed to fit in pretty well with the Suns. Devin Booker is kind of turning into one of the better scorers in the league. And then with TJ Warren, that's a solid player that will give you solid production game in and game out. You add a guy like DeAndre Ayton, all right, that's going to be a monster playing the five. He could shoot the three a tiny bit, isn't great by any means. Defense needs a little bit of work. But I think what the biggest thing with the Suns, if you bring in a guy like DeAndre Ayton, you got to bring in a solid coach. All right, that's one thing the Suns have been lacking is a solid front office and coach. Okay, and once you get those and you get DeAndre Ayton, you're going to be ready to go. And I think the Suns could be a team that plays well. I mean, they've drafted guys like Alex Len and Dragan Bender. Dragan Bender is not going to work out. I can tell you that right now. And as far as Alex Len, he might be a decent piece, but it's just a matter of he's not going to be a top player for your team. So Phoenix, if they get DeAndre Ayton and get a decent coach, they're going to be. I think they'll be just like the Lakers next season, honestly. All right, then you got the Memphis Grizzlies. They're quite a ways away from being competitive. All right, they need to get away from that whole we're the scrappy underdog and start building an actual decent team with good players who could actually win games. All right, you want to make it far in the playoffs. You want to make it to the finals. You want to win the finals. But even when the Grizzlies were good, they didn't have a team built for that. They had a team built for the playoffs, and I feel that's kind of what the Grizzlies were going for, is just to make the playoffs. Now I think you got to change the culture of it. You want to start building a winning culture. You want to start building a top team. All right, but that's going to take years, at least 5 years, I'll say, before the Grizzlies are even competing for playoff spots. All right, with the Grizzlies, it's just a matter of you're going to be having Mike Conley come back next season. Marc Gasol's on the back end of his career, so now it's just a matter of maybe getting a Marvin Bagley or a Michael Porter Jr., or even possibly if you want to trade a guy like Conley because of his contract, you go out and you get a Luka Doncic. But like I said, they're about 4 or 5 years away from even competing for playoff spots. Then you got the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban always figures out a way to keep that team relevant and decent. This year has been kind of different because of the fact that they've been really bad, and even last year too. You got Rick Carlisle, where if I'm the Mavericks, I know I have a great... you got to keep him there. I was going to say maybe let him go and start off fresh, and maybe that's one thing they need to do is just start off fresh. Rick Carlisle has won a championship with that team. He's had that team play well for years and years and years, but now it's just a matter of maybe it's just time for a change of scenery with both there, all right? Like I said, you got Dennis Smith Jr., you got Harrison Barnes, but other than that, you're going to have to build around. Dirk's going to be gone after this year. Wesley Matthews just isn't that great anymore. Yogi Ferrell's a nice little backup point guard, but now you need your Bagleys. You need a Michael Porter Jr., so we'll see about that. And then for the final team is the Sacramento Kings, all right? If they were to somehow end up with a guy like DeAndre Ayton, they'd be the Lakers next year, no doubt. They'd be competing for a playoff spot even possibly, okay? You got De'Aaron Fox. This year was a very good draft for them, too. You got De'Aaron Fox, Justin Jackson, who played well. And then you got Frank Mason, who's been a nice little backup point guard for the team. And then I think they drafted Harry Giles, who hasn't played at all this season. He's going to be playing for them next season. And I guess it seems like locally they're treating Harry Giles as the guy who's going to not take him over the top, but he's going to be a huge player for that team, they're thinking. Possibly a franchise-changing player, but they're expecting him to come out and be one of the best players on the team. I kind of feel that's kind of what the vibe I've gotten as far as the radio hosts in this city and like the fans, if you see them talking about it. So with the Kings, it's just they need a guy like Michael Porter Jr., I feel. You need that 3-type scorer, all right? Drive in, mid-range, 3-point shooter, okay? If you get a guy like Michael Porter Jr., that could be huge for them because of the fact that they don't have any true shooters on this team besides Buddy Hield. De'Aaron Fox can't shoot. Justin Jackson needs to really develop more of a jumper and be consistent, and then everyone else is kind of iffy about it. So if they were to get a guy like Michael Porter Jr., that'd be a solid little pickup for them, but we'll see about it. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball, anything that crosses my mind, and making my picks for tonight's game. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. In this first segment, we talked about yesterday's NBA game. Second segment, we talked about Markelle Fultz coming back. And then in the third segment, we talked about all the teams tanking and how close they are to becoming competitive and just going out there trying to win games. All right, and then for this segment, as we always do, we're going to talk about whatever else is going on in the world of basketball. So let's get into it. All right, Isaiah Thomas is having hip surgery. Obviously not ideal. Going to be out for the rest of the season and going to be heading into free agency, all right? Let's take a little stroll and talk about pretty much the timeline of events for Isaiah Thomas. Talk about the last year for Isaiah Thomas, I guess we should do. All right, so obviously last year, this time, getting ready for the playoffs, having one of the best offensive seasons in Celtics history, probably the best that you could argue, all right? And looking like he's on his way to starting his long career with the Celtics, all right? Goes in the playoffs, pretty much has a monster run. Then when the Eastern Conference Finals come, I think he was out. Wasn't he out for that entire series? I think he was out. He played one game, was out after that with the hip injury, and Boston steals one game and ends up losing the Cavs in 5, I believe, all right? I think it was that Avery Bradley three-point shot that he hit at the buzzer that got them the win. Either way, that happens, obviously. Now it's like IT's hip. What's the deal here? And pretty much thinking, yeah, he's going to be back probably around February or whatever for the Celtics. Kyrie Irving becomes available for trade, okay? And with Kyrie Irving, I think it's just a matter of, wasn't it the Spurs? I think it was the Spurs and Knicks for sure that was on his top 4 teams list. Celtics weren't, and it was a couple other teams I think that were out there, like the Timberwolves and someone else. Can't remember exactly. But nonetheless, Kyrie Irving's available for trade. One day, Adrian Wojnarowski tweets out that the Celtics and Cavs are close to completing a deal for Kyrie Irving. All right? And then later that day, it's announced Celtics and Cavs reached a deal. Deal was Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the Brooklyn pick for Kyrie Irving. All right. So now Isaiah Thomas is on the Cavs, still rehabbing that hip injury, and the Cavs aren't playing well to start the season. Okay. And then the big thing was, once Isaiah gets back, we're going to see how we truly can assess this Cavs team and see how good they really are. Okay, or if they're going to get any better. Turns out they didn't when Isaiah got back, okay? Isaiah gets back, and it just was never a good fit from the start. Even with Jay Crowder on the Cavs, it just wasn't a good fit at all. Going from the culture of the Celtics to the culture of the Cavs is just a completely different thing, whereas LeBron basically runs the Cavs. All right, the owner of the Celtics runs the Celtics. Danny Ainge does the GM stuff, and Brad Stevens coaches, and the players play. That's not like that over there in Cleveland, okay? So I'm sure it was a little bit different going over there. You got Isaiah Thomas coming back, and obviously Isaiah Thomas was the leader of the Celtics when he was there, and LeBron, whatever team he's on, is going to be the leader. All right? And I think Isaiah Thomas realized that, but just didn't realize it enough to where it's like you got to be quiet and fall in line with the rest of the players. All right? Because Isaiah Thomas was calling people out, not people specifically, but calling out their effort on defense, saying in Boston they played a whole lot harder than they do out here. And all that. And then there was a rumor going around when the Cavs had their players-only meeting and Kevin Love missed the game due to being sick or left the game early for being sick. I guess there was a rumor going out that Isaiah Thomas was the one who called him out. All right. But nonetheless, it just wasn't a fit. So eventually Isaiah gets traded to the Lakers for Clarkson and Nance. And they give away Fry and Thomas there. All right. So Isaiah's been there ever since the trade, obviously. And he did play pretty well from the start. Last couple of weeks hasn't really played too well, but I think that's more so to do with the fact that his calf has been bothering him. It's been a lingering issue, and now here he is getting surgery. All right, so that's a little timeline for you. Now it's just a matter of what's next for Isaiah Thomas. Where does he go? I mean, you go from 1 year being one of the best players offensively all time for the Celtics to now it's like, is someone going to pick him up? And I'm sure someone is going to sign him, but now it's just a matter of how much money is he going to get? He's not getting a max deal. He's not getting anything near a max deal. I think, honestly, Isaiah Thomas is probably going to be seeing himself maybe $10, $15 million, possibly, maybe $7 to $14 million. All right? With Isaiah, he kind of did talk his way out of getting paid and kind of did play his way out. And I guess last year, if he was a little bit smart, I don't even want to say smarter, okay, because I can't knock the guy for wanting to play through injury, especially with the way that Boston treated him, all right? It seemed like Isaiah Thomas was going to take over that Paul Pierce role, all right, and be that kind of that killer on the team, okay? It seemed like he was going to be a Celtic for the rest of his career. I thought it, and I'm sure he did too. But eventually, he got traded, and now it's just a matter of he's got to find his way. All right, and it's like the Lakers are thinking of bringing him back. All right, like that's something they'd be interested in. All right, I read that on ESPN in one of their articles. All right, they're interested in bringing him back, obviously for the right price and all that. But with the Lakers, it's kind of like, well, if you're going to go after LeBron, obviously you can't bring in Isaiah until you figure out what's going on with LeBron. And I think that just Isaiah and LeBron just aren't a good fit together. So there's that. All right, a team like Indiana is one that's been thrown around kind of as a team that could go out and pick up an Isaiah Thomas. I think that'd be a nice little fit there. Isaiah with Oladipo. Then you got Bogdanovich, Turner, and probably have to pick up a player who plays the 4. And then there's the Celtics, whose name keeps getting thrown up there. I would like to see Isaiah Thomas back with the Celtics, okay? Because of the fact that he played so well there, and Brad Stevens knows how to get him going, knows how to have him playing at his best. All right, if Isaiah Thomas gets that hip healed up and there's no problem with it and he goes back to the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas could be how he was with the Celtics the first time, except this time he'd come off the bench. But even then, so I'm sure he'd get some runs with the first unit, be able to play alongside with Kyrie Irving for a few minutes at a time, and even then, so would be able to do well running with the second unit. All right, Brad Stevens knows how to get Isaiah Thomas the right shots and knows how to hide him on defense. So if I'm Isaiah and the Celtics are offering me similar to what the Lakers or Pacers would be offering me, I'm going to Boston, even though I'm going to be coming off the bench, because of the fact that you know that they love you there and that you had your best season there. So we'll see about it. But Isaiah Thomas, I mean, it's just curious to see what's going to go on with him. But either way, now let's make my picks for tonight's NBA games. All right, so let's get started. First up, we got the Cavs facing off with the Hornets. This was in Charlotte, and Charlotte's actually favored by 2 points in this one, all right? I mean, that's kind of curious, kind of interesting to see, but I'm going to go with the Cavs in this one. They're 19-19 on the road. Hornets are 21-17 at home. But nonetheless, I got to go with the Cavs in this one. I think they're going to be able to pull it out. Then we got the Nets facing off with the Magic. I'm going with the Nets. The Magic are just a bad team. Nets are a terrible road team, but I think they're going to be able to pull it out here. Then we got the Philadelphia 76ers facing off with the New York Knicks. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure Markelle Fultz is going to get a lot of time in this one because of the fact that the Sixers are going to blow out the Knicks. So obviously, I got the Sixers winning this one. Then we got the Trailblazers facing off with the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, no real surprises here. I'm going with the Trailblazers. Nothing really. I don't know. Portland's only favored by 5.5 in this one, which is kind of low for a team like the Grizzlies being so bad this season. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a guy like McCollum or Lillard aren't playing, but either way, I got to go with the Trailblazers winning this one. Then we got the Hawks facing off with the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are coming off of a bad loss at home against the Grizzlies. I think they're going to be able to pull out the win in this one, though, against the Hawks, so I got the Timberwolves winning this one. And then we got the Celtics facing off with the Jazz. The Jazz are playing great defense as of late, playing good basketball, so the Celtics, but Celtics are going to be without Kyrie Smart until we find out anything else. And it's pretty much with the Celtics, just a matter of you're missing a lot of really solid players, so I'm going to go with the Jazz in this one. Then we got the Clippers facing off with the Suns. Suns are the worst team in the league, so I got the Clippers in that one. And then we got the Lakers facing off with the Mavericks, and I got the Lakers in that one, all right? So to recap my picks, I got the Cavs, I got the Nets, the Sixers, the Trailblazers, the Timberwolves, Jazz, Clippers, and Lakers all winning tonight. Cavs are my only upset pick of the night, so that's going to actually wrap it up for today. Today, like I said, we talked about yesterday's NBA games. We talked about Markelle Fultz, talked about the tanking teams, and we talked about Isaiah Thomas's little situation he's in right now. We also made my pick. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back on Friday, so stay tuned till then, and we will talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.